Hello, I'm Melody. Welcome to Myanmar Today Review, and this is where we visit the top stories for this week from Myanmar Today. Here are the reports from our reporters from this week. Public pays tribute to fallen national heroes at 73rd Myanmar Martyrs Day commemoration ceremony. JMC resumes meeting with representatives at different levels. Pilgrims allowed visiting Kaunghmudaw Pagoda in line with healthcare guidelines. MMPL's fourth donation of basic foodstuffs to film industry laborers. Few local travelers visit the tourism sites, tourism-related businesses facing difficulties. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news from this week. The chairman of National Disaster Management Committee, Vice President U. Henry Ventiyu, who was in Mandalay region together with the union ministers, deputy ministers, and officials, inspected the retaining the overflow of Ayeyarwady River water due to the broken embankment near Sri Gal Waste Water Treatment Plant in Amarpura Township, Mandalay region, and renovation works of Strand Road in the morning on Tuesday. The vice president and entourage arrived at the working site, and the officials concerned clarified the capacity of retaining the overflow of Ayeyarwady River water, renovation works of Strand Road, and the condition to allow the motor vehicles to pass. Later, the vice president and party left Amarapura by motorcades and arrived back in Naypyidaw in the afternoon. The incidents of embankment breaking and Strand Road collapsing near Sri Gal Waste Water Treatment Plant and overflow of Ayeyarwady River water occurred in the late evening on the 19th of July. It's learned now the works of restoring embankment are underway to allow the regular traffic of vehicles. Aiming to visit and pay homage Untitled Pagoda to the pilgrims, the Pagoda Board of Trustees is making arrangements for reopening. Untitled Pagoda has been temporarily closed since the 10th of April this year in order to prevent against COVID-19 disease. The Pagoda Board of Trustees is arranging to reopen Untitled Pagoda soon in line with the instructions of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention and Control and Treatment of COVID-19, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and Ministry of Religious Affairs and Culture. The Pagoda Board of Trustees said they will announce the exact date for reopening the pagoda after getting permission from the National Level Central Committee. The Pagoda Board of Trustees is preparing for computerization, temperature screening, installing hand wash basins, making social distancing, and wearing masks for visitors at the entrance gates of the pagoda to prevent COVID-19. And I believe it's time now for our first report. Myanmar commemorated the country's 73rd Martyrs' Day commemoration ceremony in tribute to General Aung San, regarded as a Myanmar's independence hero who was assassinated along with the other 7 national leaders and a bodyguard. On the occasion of this year, public waited and paid tribute to the fallen national heroes near the Martyrs' Mausoleum by practicing the social distancing amid the ongoing COVID-19 outbreak. Let's take a look at the report.
Myanmar commemorated the country's 73rd Martyrs' Day commemoration ceremony in tribute to General Aung San, regarded as the Myanmar independence hero who was assassinated along with the other 7 national leaders and a bodyguard. On this day, President of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, U Win Myint, and Myanmar dignitaries, including State Councillor Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, who is also the daughter of the General Aung San, the Vice President U Min Sui, and family members of the martyrs went and laid wreath at the Martyrs' Mausoleum and held religious ceremonies and memorial service. People went and saluted the national heroes at the Martyrs' Mausoleum, On the occasion of this year, people waited and paid tribute to the fallen national heroes near the Martyrs Mausoleum by practicing the social distancing amid the ongoing COVID-19 outbreak. Makain So, the resident from Yangon, spoke to MI Radio about her feelings on her participation in this commemoration ceremony of the 19th July Martyrs Day. She said,
I've never participated in the commemoration ceremony of the Martyrs Day in Yangon. This year I came to Yangon on my business purpose, but fortunately I have a chance to participate this Martyrs Day. So I came to this Martyrs Mausoleum to pay tribute to our fallen national independence heroes.
On this day, people in Myanmar paid tribute silently to the fallen national heroes, and the driver honked their horns for 1 minute at 10:37 a.m. when the martyrs were assassinated by the gunmen. Many poems and articles related to this 19th July are printed in the newspaper about the national independence hero, including General Aung San, the Kenya, Dido Ubacho, Mainponso Wasasanton, Mamba Kai, Ubawin, Uraza, Uomang, and a bodyguard Kotui. Kobobotain, a taxi driver from Tuwana Tenganjon Township, spoke to MI Radio about the feeling of the Martyrs Day.
I pay tribute to fallen leaders by honking cars honking at the time of their assassination on this July 19. This is one of the unforgettable days for all Myanmar citizens. Every year in this time, Myanmar's citizens feel sad because of those national heroes. We have regained our independence. I'm very glad for their effort.
Every year on this day, General Aung San Museum is open for the public to provide a unique glimpse to his private life. Because of the COVID-19 in this year, the museum has been closed, but people can visit the Museum of the General Aung San through the website of the National Museum Yangon.org via virtual reality or documentary video. In tribute to the national heroes, the Central Bank of Myanmar is going to print and circulate the 500 Jack currency note with the image of the General Aung San. Also on the day of independence, the Central Bank circulated the 1,000 Jack currency note with a portrait of General Aung San. Kaunghmudaw, the resident from Yangon, spoke to MI Radio about his feeling of this unforgettable day.
Today is one of the historical days for our country. We had lost our national heroes. Last year, I watched the celebration of Martyrs Day through the television and other media. But this year, I decided to pay tribute to our national heroes at the Martyrs Mausoleum. On this day, I feel very sad when I hear the sound of horns at 10:37 a.m. I have seen a lot of security guards to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by following social distancing guidelines. Our General Aung San and other fellow heroes are very precious to our country. I always feel grateful from the bottom of my heart for the sacrifice in their lives for the country.
That's the report on public pays tribute to fallen national heroes at 73rd Myanmar Martyrs Day commemoration ceremony. The Joint Ceasefire Monitoring Committee resumed its meeting on Wednesday at National Reconciliation and Peace Center in Yangon, attended by several representatives of the NCA-signed organizations. As this meeting is held amid COVID-19, JMC hoped to change the pattern of the meeting, where even if the meeting can be interrupted by COVID-19, but the task of JMC can be implemented. Willinson will tell us the full report.
Under the agreement of nationwide ceasefire agreement signed on 15 October 2015, the two major bodies were formed between the Union of Myanmar government and 8 ethnic arms organizations, which are known as Joint Ceasefire Monitoring Committee and the Union Peace Dialogue Joint Committee. The JMC includes union, state, local levels to implement ceasefire monitoring at different levels. The main purpose of this forming organization is to preserve peace among each other at the highest level with the collaborative work between government and NCA sign organizations. And it also does constant monitoring of the situation, which is known as JICM, Joint Implementing Coordination Committee, which is responsible for the collaborative work between the government and the organizations for peace process. After 7 months of holding the meeting between these organizations on 22nd of July, the meeting was resumed again, attended by the representative of organizations and the government, and the meeting was held at the National Reconciliation and Peace Center in Yangon. Giving the opening remark at the meeting, Reverend SOEN A, Vice Chairman 2 of JMCU, said,
The work and the contribution of JMC to the peace and reconciliation of the nation is not going to stop. The message I would like to give today as the chairman today here is, I encourage everyone here to build up the confidence in oneself and be energetic with what we do. There are times when there is so much of hardship in working between the two bodies of armed forces. Only when we have trust in ourselves and among each other, then we can progress further in our works of peace process. Another important aspect is we all need to have transparency in what we do. When I say transparency, it's not just about the transparency between the two bodies of these organizations, but we also need to have clear and transparent views on the civilians from conflict-affected areas. We are part of this civilian. I encourage everyone to have a transparent outlook on civilians as well.
Reverend SOEN A also stressed the need of the importance of knowledge sharing between each other, which is also vital in building mutual trust, and importance of capacity building for the progress of the work, where TSC, Technical Secretariat Center, will play a big role in it. Speaking at the meeting, MAUNG, Vice Chairman 2 of JMCU, also said,
In
the process of capacity building and mutual trust, we have experienced that these civil representatives play a big role, and this is the important part of peace process a whole. Using the advantages both sides have, we must use these resources and work for further process abiding by the rules and regulations under JMC. This is why we all must make sure that we understand the importance of these civilian representatives in this meeting. It is the collaboration of civil representatives. We have come a long way in this journey, and I want to encourage everyone here that let us keep this way, highlighting importance to civil representatives and go forward.
Tura Uboni, a civilian representative of JMCU, also spoke at the meeting, and he said,
As
we are going on this JMC walk in the midst of COVID-19, we need to discuss on how we are going to implement the agreements we sign between each other while working in a new normal situation. There was a 2-year suspension of this GMC meeting, but we need to prepare for any other suspension of the meeting. In the future, although the meeting might be suspended, we need to carry on the work of GMC. Even though the meeting was suspended, we are grateful to Technical Secretariat Center for its progressive work during this meeting suspended period. I encourage everyone here to work for long-lasting peace in the country with our abilities, knowing the importance of civilian representative in this peace process.
Also present at this meeting were the representative of JMCS of Chan State, Tanindari region, Kayin State, Mon State, Bago region, and those from district level of Lincoln and Papun. This is Willinson for MI Radio.
That's the report on JMC resumes meeting with representatives at different levels. Kaunghmudaw Pagoda has been shut down for nearly 3 months, which is just after the first positive case for COVID-19. Starting from the 15th of July, Kaunghmudaw Pagoda's Board of Trustees has started allowing worshippers from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. in accordance with the healthcare guidelines instructed by the Sagaing Region Government and the Ministry of Health and Sports.
Yazamani Sula Kaunghmudaw Pagoda, which is a must-see stupa in Sagaing, had started allowing the pilgrims since 15 July, according to the Kaunghmudaw Pagoda's Board of Trustees. Speaking to Ama Radio, Unite, the vice chairman of Kaunghmudaw Pagoda's Board of Trustees, said,
The people usually come and pay obeisance to the pagoda via all 4 gateways of the pagoda. Now we allow the worshippers to enter only through the front gateway and to exit only through the southern gateway. While entering the pagoda, they have to line up in 2 feet apart systematically, wearing the protections against the infection. While they are wandering the pagoda, groups with more than 5 people entering the pagoda are prohibited in accordance with the government's restriction on public gathering. We also allow the shops on the platform of the pagoda reopen, but only 2 people per shop. The visitors and the shopkeepers can only purchase the goods from a safe distance.
Kaunghmudaw Pagoda has been shut down for nearly 3 months, which is just after the first case of COVID-19 in Myanmar. Starting from 15th of July, Kaunghmudaw Pagoda's Board of Trustees had started allowing the worshippers from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. in accordance with the healthcare guidelines instructed by the Sagaing Region Government and the Ministry of Health and Sports. Ukuguchi is one of the security guards in Kaunghmudaw Pagoda, speaking to Ama Radio about the preventive measures, healthcare guidelines, and the public who are following these guidelines. He said,
The security guards, they have to ensure the safety of the visitors of the pagoda regarding their health, social distancing exercises, as well as their personal security. We take utmost care of the personal safety of the pilgrims during their visit of Kaunghmudaw Pagoda. The Office of PAGODA'S Board of Trustees has also ordered us to contact with related medical service providers.
Speaking to Myanmar Radio, THANAKA SHOPKEEPER from Kaunghmudaw Pagoda said,
We won't allow the people to go inside the pagoda unless they follow the health guidelines and fundamental prevention like wearing masks. We have also provided the visitors with washing basin and hand sanitizer. We also make sure to have appropriate social distancing protocol near the gateway and the interior part of the pagoda.
The pagoda, which houses the most venerated image of Buddha in the country, has been closed since early April as part of the government's caution measures against the potential risk of COVID-19 issues. As the first wave of COVID-19 gradually turns into recovery state, the restrictions have been slowly eased, and the most renowned pagodas in the country has been considering to reopening under cautions, health guidelines, and protection. Shwedagon Pagoda is considering reopening with the possible system of online registration, and Sule Pagoda is preparing precautionary measures and workshop for the pagoda's staffs. Even though the situation might be in a state of progression, a date has not been set for the reopening of Shwedagon Pagoda to the public. According to U Tan Sot, one of the members of Shwedagon Pagoda's Board of Trustees. On the other hand, Mandalay's famed Mahamuni Pagoda is ready to reopen after taking all the necessary precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The chair of the Pagoda's Board of Trustees said,
With regard to Bagan, the local government reportedly allowed the hotelier to reopen 20 hotels and 1 guest house in Bagan Ya'u, Asian Culture region in Mandalay that was once closed due to COVID-19.
That's the report on pilgrims allowed visiting Kaunghmudaw Pagoda in line with healthcare guidelines. Since the 16th of March, not only the film production, but also the film screenings have been temporarily shut down in the wake of COVID-19 alert. The closure of film industry has already for nearly 4 months, and the film industry laborers are facing the serious crisis currently. Myanmar Motion Picture Organization donated the basic foodstuff to film industry laborers, supporting their living amid COVID-19 crisis.
Myanmar Motion Picture Organization MNPO donated the basic foodstuffs to film industry laborers supporting their living amid COVID-19 crisis. It is the fourth time for MNPO donating for the film industry laborers, and this time, Tamara families also participated in the donation by providing rice, edible oil, salt, beans for 1,600 people from 10 laborer classes of film industry. Uzome Hantamye, Secretary 1 of MNPO, spoke to MR Radio about the donation.
Today's donation is the fourth time for film industry laborers by MMPO in the wake of COVID-19 crisis. Tamara families have supported the donation for this time. Rice, edible oil, salt, beans, and eggs are donated by Tamara, and MMPO added the donation with chicken sausage and dry side dish. There are 15,000 people from 10 laborers classes of this industry. The donation will be held for 3 days. Yesterday, the supporting actors were donated and film industry laborers from distribution, screenplay writing, directing, producing, editing, main casting, theaters, and back music are being donated today. Tomorrow, the MMPO is going to donate film industry laborers from the basic production layer.
Since 16th March, not only the film production but also the film screenings have been temporarily shut down in the wake of COVID-19 alert. The closure of the film industry has already for nearly 4 months, and the film industry laborers are facing the serious crisis currently. Spoke to MR Radio, Umentu, who is working as an editor in the film industry for over 20 years, said the difficulties of the basic film industry laborers.
At present, we are facing the crisis which we've never experienced in the Myanmar film industry. The whole film industry can produce anything or any screening and nothing else. The cinema are still closed and the production are still disallowed. Currently, the living of film industry laborers is really hard. In this time, MMPO donate the basic foodstuff which is really necessary for the film industry laborers.
Speaking to MR Radio, Uwe Myai, Joint Secretary 2 from Myanmar Motion Picture Organization, said.
The
MMPO has organized and funded for the donation for every time. But one donation after another, it is hard to ask people for donation. Almost everyone is hurt in this period. So, the donors can participate in the donation frequently. If the closure period takes longer, we have to think how we should do for film industry and even for the donation.
According to Uzome Hantamye, the MMPO is coordinating with the Ministry of Health and Sports, the Ministry of Information, and also the Ministry of Religious Affairs and Culture for reoperation of the film industry. The reoperation of the Myanmar film industry will take some more months and still far away.
The officials have come and checked the demonstration for producing processes, film series, and commercial videos in accordance with health guidelines. We hope that the re-operation for the film series and commercial videos producing is going to be run next month, but the screening has been checked yet, so it will take some more months to open the theaters.
I am Kyoti Ritu. This is news reported from MR Radio.
Let's move on to the last report for today. Hotels in Myanmar, which have been suspended due to the COVID-19 outbreak, have already resumed operation for the sake of the local travelers since June. Before the opening of the international airlines, hotels and tourism sites for the satisfaction of the stressed local people are on the way to reopen along with the health guidelines and instructions issued by the relevant authorities. Also, the domestic tourism is being planned to relaunch back soon, according to the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism.
Hotels in Myanmar, which have been suspended due to the COVID-19 outbreak, have already resumed operation for the sake of the local travelers since June. Before the opening of the international airlines, hotels and tourism sites for the satisfaction of the stressed local people are on the way to reopen, along with the health guidelines and instructions issued by the relevant authorities. Also, the domestic tourism is being planned to relaunch back soon, according to the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism. There are all around 1,600 hotels reopening, along with the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health and Sports. As there are no visitors, hotels are facing losses because their income is much lower than the general expenses and costs for employees. Services that have to rely on tourism include trishaw drivers, cart drivers, sellers, and handicrafts makers. Their reoperation of businesses also depends on the opening of the tourism sites. Under Myanmar's September 2018 tourism law, regional authorities can decide the closures or opening of the hotels in their respective areas. Regional government authority can grant more license for hotels, tour companies, tour guides, and transportation operators. The ministry relaxed taxes on tourism businesses for 6 months, postponed rental fees for affected state-owned hotels for 6 months, and put aside license fees for 1 year. U Min-jaw, General Secretary of Myanmar Hotelier Association, said.
Regarding the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism, there are over 1,200 hotels reopened, which are 50 to 60% of all hotels around the country. Hotels in Chaunda and Wesam beaches are checked for the safety by regional government on 23rd and 24th July. Starting from 2015, tourism industries have expected the improvements in tourism sector. Almost every hotel tourism-related business are operating with bank loans. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the closure of those sites takes long. Businesses are facing difficulties in debt settlements. No visitors make even harder to pay for bank interest and other taxes. Just because of the relaxed rules issued by the MOHT, we can stand on our own.
The preventive health measures and the instructed guidelines are processed in some hotels, but some still found difficulties in following the rules. To perform the social distancing plans in hotels, Destination Management Organization DMO has founded under Regional Tourism Committee. U Antong Khai, manager of Amazing Chaunda Resort, said.
We focus on the protection of both our staffs and customers. Especially, we seriously prohibit the gathering of more than 5 people. We provide room service for each room, and moreover, only one staff with protective equipment, which includes face shields, mask, and glove, will be able to enter room for cleaning. The government has issued rules to organize the maintenance teams along with beach. It monitors the visitors whether they break the rules in banning of the gathering more than 5 people, and there will be a fine of 10,000 kyats for each person if violation found.
The government launched the reopening of the tourism-related businesses by relaxing regional orders starting from June and will continue through August. The government hopes to begin the allowance of foreign tourist arrivals between August and January of 2021. Northai Taiton, travel blogger from Travel by Northai Facebook page said,
I want to go to beaches and mountains with fine weather for my upcoming trip. I think as there are no foreign travelers in the country and also local residents have been staying in their houses for a long time, they want to go on trips and the local tourism will improve. People would choose sites that has easy transportation and fair weather like Galore, Pa'an, and Bagan. The interest in unpopular tourism sites like Mogo, Gaba, Yinanjiao are also increasing now.
When the domestic travelers start visiting local tourism sites, not only hotels but also other tourism-related businesses will profit from the gradual increase in the number of visitors.
That's the report on few local travelers visit the tourism sites, tourism-related businesses facing difficulties. Now to international news. Beijing on Friday criticized a speech by U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo for reviving the Cold War mentality, saying it is a combination of lies by U.S. politicians. Speaking at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library in California on Thursday, Pompeo called on Washington and its allies to exert more creative and assertive ways to press the Communist Party of China to change. Let's take a listen.
Pompeo's statement was filled with Cold War mentality. It's a combination of political lies by U.S. politicians recently. We resolutely oppose this. History and facts have shown that the road China chooses is the right one, winning support from the Chinese people. A recent study by Harvard University said over 93% of Chinese are satisfied with the government, the highest rate in recent decades. Some U.S. politicians have been stirring ideological conflict with China. They want to mislead domestic attention and pressure. These tricks will not fool its people and the international community. We urge the U.S. to view China and bilateral ties properly and work to set relations back on the right track.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for further efforts to implement the strategy of revitalizing Northeast China and promote high-quality development in one of the country's major industrial and agricultural bases. Xi, who is also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, made the remarks during an inspection tour in Northeast China's Jilin province from Wednesday to Friday. President Xi visited rural areas, a residential community, a science park, and a renowned enterprise in Xiping and Changchun. At the end of the tour, he was briefed by party and government officials of the province on their work. Let's take a look. That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today Review. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching.